In the previous lesson, we looked at the structure of a CDK project and getting started in terms of how we actually get one generated and make it. Now we've got that, we probably want to see how we can deploy this infrastructure that we've got here. So the getting started template gives us a queue, a topic, and links the two together. So I'm going to set my AWS profile here to get my account credentials going. You can always use AWS STS get caller identity to confirm you're in the correct account, correct region, everything else. And then if we are happy, we would like to deploy it. So how do we deploy something in CDK? If we look in the README, you'll see that there are some example CDK commands here. We've got one called deploy, one called diff, and one called synth. What we're actually going to do is we're going to change these to be documented as npm run, because we're going to make some package scripts. And then let's pop over to our package.json and add those in. So we're going to have deploy, which is going to be calling CDK deploy. We're going to have diff, which, as you'd expect, is calling CDK diff. And we're going to have synth, which, no surprises there, is going to be CDK synth. So if we go back to our README and we can copy and paste one of the examples we've got here, let's run an npm run deploy, paste that in, and let's see what happens. So npm here is running CDK deploy. It talks about something called synthesis, and that took a couple of seconds. And then it's saying something about not being able to assume a role. So it could not assume this role here. Okay, we'll find out what that is a little bit later. And then it says it was looking for an SSM parameter. Has the environment been bootstrapped? Please run CDK bootstrap. So synthesizing is turning the CDK application that we've written into CloudFormation, into a CloudFormation template. So it does that, and that succeeds okay. Then it tries to deploy it, but it's looking for something that isn't there. And there's a synthesizer that controls how you turn things into CloudFormation. And the particular synthesizer that we use by default assumes that you've got some resources already existing in the account. It wants you to have something set up for it to deploy into. And you only have to do this bootstrapping process once per account and per region. So if we're deploying in 2 regions in the same account, we do it twice. If we're doing 2 regions in 2 accounts, we'd have to do it 4 times, one for each account and each region. So let's add in another package script into our documentation. So let's say npm run bootstrap, and I'm just going to bump these up a couple of lines. And we're going to say prepare the account/region for CDK deployments. And the fact we've got that there doesn't make it work. We have to put a package script in for that as well. And it's going to be the same thing. It's just going to be CDK, then the name of the command, or CDK and bootstrap. So let's do an npm run bootstrap. So npm is calling CDK bootstrap. It's going to tell you the account ID and region that it's deploying into. So it's really worth making sure that that's correct. You want to make sure that you're bootstrapping the right place and you're deploying into the right account. And then it says CDK Toolkit creating CloudFormation change set. And it gives us this really nice interactive view as things are getting deployed. And behind the scenes, it's creating a CloudFormation stack, and then it's waiting for that CloudFormation stack to finish deploying. So if I pop the browser over onto one side, and we go to CloudFormation, what zoom level we're on? 175%, okay. Then if we are quick enough, we will catch the fact that there's a new stack called CDK Toolkit, and that is create in progress. So that is being deployed live. And then if we click into the stack, close these bits, and we click on events, and then we can see it as it happens, all of these create in progress, create complete, and so on and so forth. And then this has also been updated in our user interface here. It now says that it's finished. So when CDK uses CloudFormation, it creates a change set, which is it's almost like a diff. It's like what are you going to do as a result of the changes in your template? You're going to remove some infrastructure, you're going to create some infrastructure, you're going to change some infrastructure. And then once we've created a change set, we can then apply it. So we don't have to apply change sets in CloudFormation. We can just create them to have a look if we want to. But it creates a change set, it applies it, and then it monitors it for its sort of progress and gives us this really nice feedback in the terminal as that's going along. So now we've done our bootstrap, let's run our npm run deploy, which is calling CDK deploy. So the synthesis is there. It's talking about building some things, building and publishing. So that's something we'll cover a bit later. And then it's giving us a preview of the changes. And CDK always highlights the IAM stuff. It emphasizes those changes over everything else. And it's saying, okay, are you sure you're happy with this IAM statement? Now, we haven't written this in the code. We haven't written this IAM statement here. But because we are linking these two things together, some IAM changes are required. And part of the magic of CDK is it trying to glue these things together for us so that we don't have to do them manually, to save us some work. So we're going to say yes or Y. We would like to deploy this. We're going to hit enter. And it's doing the same thing again. So it's creating a CloudFormation change set. And if we pop to the CloudFormation, pop to the CloudFormation web interface, we can refresh it here and we can see we've now got 3 stacks. We've got getting started stack, and that is create in progress. And again, if we wanted to, we could have a look at the events here for more information, or we can just watch it in our terminal and it will feed back as it's happening. Okay, and with that done, we have our very first deployment in CDK complete. So what did we do? We tried to do a deployment, which we used our deploy package.json script for, and it failed. It said that it couldn't read an SSM parameter it expected to be there. That's required because the default synthesizer turning CDK code into CloudFormation requires a bootstrap, needs things set up first. So we created a new package script to run CDK bootstrap. We popped a note in our README about it, and then we ran it. And that all succeeded just fine. And then once we had it bootstrapped, we had a successful run of npm run deploy. The bootstrapping process creates this CDK toolkit stack here with a number of resources. And then our application made one stack called getting started stack, which we can see up here. And all CDK projects in the same account and region can share this bootstrap. The only difference is that different CDK versions will have different versions of this bootstrap project. So you might have to update it every now and again. You might have to try and ensure compatibility there. But in my experience working with CDK, there don't tend to be challenges with a slightly different version in the bootstrap. So I don't think that's a major issue.